In the midst of a conflict that has left the world on edge, a heartbreaking yet hopeful development unfolds. The remains of a hostage have been handed over from Gaza to Israel, signaling what could be a step toward resolution. But here's where it gets controversial. Does this exchange truly pave the way for peace, or is it just a temporary pause in a cycle of tragedy? Let's dive into the details and explore what this means for everyone involved. According to Israel's military, the remains arrived in Israel on Tuesday, marking another milestone in the ceasefire brokered by the United States. This agreement, which kicked off on October 10th, has already seen Hamas return the remains of 20 hostages to Israel. If forensic testing confirms the identity of these latest remains, that would mean just 7 more hostages' remains are still held in Gaza. For beginners wondering about forensic testing, it's a scientific process where experts use DNA, dental records, and other clues to identify bodies. Think of it like piecing together a puzzle to bring closure to grieving families. The ceasefire itself is designed to gradually bring an end to what has been described as the deadliest and most destructive conflict in the history of clashes between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas. It's a war that's ravaged lives on both sides, and understanding its roots can help put this all in perspective. The spark for this violence was the Hamas-led assault on southern Israel on October 7, 2023, which claimed around 1,200 lives and resulted in 251 people being taken hostage. Israel's response was a massive military operation that, according to Gaza's health ministry, has led to over 68,800 Palestinian deaths in Gaza. This ministry, run by Hamas but staffed by professional medical experts, keeps meticulous records that independent observers generally deem trustworthy. Israel disputes these numbers, denying accusations of genocide raised by a UN commission and others, though they haven't offered a counter-figure. And this is the part most people miss. The ongoing exchanges aren't straightforward. Hamas announced earlier that day that they had retrieved the body of an Israeli soldier in Gaza and planned to return it. Israel's statement didn't specify if the remains in question belonged to a soldier or a civilian hostage. Militants in Gaza have been releasing 1 to 3 bodies every few days, but Israel has been urging for quicker progress. In some instances, Israel has claimed the returned remains weren't those of hostages at all. Hamas counters that the devastation across Gaza, think collapsed buildings and rubble-strewn streets, makes the recovery process incredibly complicated and slow. Here's where the controversy really heats up. For every Israeli hostage returned, Israel has been releasing the remains of 15 Palestinians. To date, under this ceasefire, the bodies of 270 Palestinians have been handed over. Shockingly, fewer than half have been identified, largely because Gaza lacks the necessary DNA testing kits. As a workaround, the health ministry there posts photos of the remains online, hoping families will recognize their loved ones. Imagine the emotional toll on these families, scrolling through images in a desperate search for answers. This system highlights the human cost and the challenges in a war zone, but it also raises questions about fairness and transparency. Shifting gears to international involvement, the United States has drafted a proposal for the UN Security Council that could establish an international stabilization force in Gaza for at least 2 years. This draft, shared with the Associated Press by U.S. officials who wished to remain anonymous due to the diplomatic sensitivity, is just an initial outline meant to kickstart discussions among council members and potential partners. Countries from the Arab world and beyond have shown interest in contributing troops, but they emphasize that UN approval is crucial to move forward. One official noted the document hasn't been officially shared yet, serving as a foundation for building consensus. On the aid front, progress is being made, but it's not enough. Since the ceasefire began, the World Food Program, WFP, has distributed food parcels to 1 million people in Gaza, a WFP official reported on Tuesday. However, to ramp things up, more border crossings need to open, said Ross Smith, the agency's Director of Emergency Preparedness and Response. "We are still, as WFP, only moving half of what we want to move into Gaza," Smith explained in an interview. "We need all crossings to be open. Right now, there's only 2. We need all internal routes inside Gaza to be accessible to us, and right now, they are not. To put this in simple terms, think of it like trying to deliver groceries to a neighborhood with only 2 doors open. Logistics become a nightmare, and people go hungry." Adding to the support, Singapore's Foreign Minister, Vivian Balakrishnan, visited Palestinian officials in the West Bank on Tuesday to renew his country's pledge, overseeing the delivery of another portion of $24 million in aid to the WFP. Meanwhile, nearly 40 countries and international organizations now have representatives at a U.S.-led coordination center in Israel, which opened last month to oversee aid to Gaza and monitor the ceasefire. This center, as noted by U.S. Central Command on X, is a hub for collaboration, ensuring that help reaches those in need while keeping the peace intact. As we wrap up, the situation in Gaza remains fraught with complexity and heartache. The hostage exchanges, the disputed casualty figures, and the push for an international force, all of these elements spark heated debates. Is the ratio of 15 Palestinian remains for every Israeli hostage a fair trade, or does it perpetuate imbalance? Should an international force step in? And if so, how might that change the dynamics on the ground? What about the aid efforts? Do you think opening more crossings would make a real difference? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with Israel's stance? Or do you see a controversial counterpoint where the devastation in Gaza complicates any progress? Let's discuss.